Hello, and thank you very much for visiting my YouTube channel Historical Rifles. Today we will check out the Swiss Schmidt-Rubin Carbine 11, which was called Karabiner 11 in German language, and it was the carbine version of the Gewehr 11, which was the long rifle of the Swiss at that time. The Carbine 11 was more or less the first carbine version which was produced in larger numbers. There was an earlier carbine variant called Karabiner 5, but it was only produced in very small numbers, and the Carbine 5 is almost not possible to find nowadays because, as I understood, those have all been updated to at least the Carbine 11 pattern. So let's check it out. We have a dovetail driftable front sight. In this case, what is not seen very often is, in this case, it is a blade, not triangle shaped. Usually those were triangle shaped at that time. And it has some nice protection ears, left and right, which are rather thick, but they are not fully closed, so it doesn't block any light. But I don't think you could mistake it easily when aiming with the actual blade, because they are quite higher and also a lot thicker. So I think honestly this is a very good front sight construction. It is driftable in a diagonal way because of the protection ears, and I think it's a well thought out front sight. It works great, it has a great open sight picture. It's a really good construction. Then let's move on. We have here the stacking rod, which is here. It's on the front barrel band, the same as the bayonet lock, which is also on the front barrel band. Then we have a very nice full stocked variant here. I really like full stocked carbines and rifles because it helps to prevent to burn your fingers after sustained fire. And this one goes all to the front here, so chances are very low that you touch any hot parts. Then we have here a side mounted sling swivel for carbine carrying, and finger grooves here. I also prefer finger grooves to rifles and carbines with no finger grooves, because it always helps to find the right position when you hold and fire the rifle. Then we move on to the rear sight. The rear sight is graduated from 100 to 1500 meters. It's a tangent rear sight. It is also marked on the sides here from 1 to 1500, the same on this side. This is something that you see on earlier rifles and carbines, and this feature was mostly dropped on later rifles and carbines. To set the desired range, you just depress this button here and slide it forward for increased range and slide it backwards for decreased range. Mine is, as you see, a little bit stuck. It will need some cleaning and oil or grease in this case. What is also not seen so often is, I hope I can get it into the camera. I'm sorry, I have to make some space. It has a sorry, it has a U notch, not a V notch. I will try to get you a side picture. That's always not so easy to achieve because of the focus of the camera. It's still focusing. Sorry. Now it works. But I think it is really great to aim at short to medium ranges. I think it works actually quite good. I have nothing negative to say about it. Then let's move on to the action, which is most probably the most interesting part on this carbine. As all Swiss Schmidt-Rubin rifles and carbines, this is a straight pull action, not a turn bolt, meaning when you want to open the bolt or rack the bolt, you just pull back and it's open. Here is the cutout for the chargers. It uses aluminium reinforced cardboard chargers. They look like this. And you usually just put them in here, depress the round into the carbine, which I can show you because in this case I have some dummy training ammunition, which is you can see and feel here. As you can see, it doesn't have any primers. It's not a real cartridge, it's for training. This one is originally made by the Swiss. And I also have a matching charger for training ammunition. Those were painted red. There are chargers in various colors. I know that at least there is a white one, which was used for, I think, blanks as far as I remember. I also saw a yellow one, and I also saw once it was purple. The purple I read, if I remember correctly, was for armor piercing ammunition. So to load it, just, oh sorry, wrong direction. You slide in those cartridges into the charger. In my opinion, I fired the Swiss Schmidt-Rubin rifles and carbines quite a lot, and I often noticed that if you don't pay attention, you can get cut here at those aluminium reinforced parts. They are quite sharp, so always make sure to not cut your fingers. Oh, I'm sorry, this one. I need to bend the aluminium part here a little bit so the rounds don't fall out. It has been used a lot, so now it works. To load it, just put it here into the cutout, push down the cartridges, eject the charger. Cartridges are in here in the box magazine. It's actually a detachable box magazine. I will show you a little bit later. And then just rack forward, and that's it. You're ready to fire. To put the carbine into safety mode, you have here the bolt. At the back you have a ring, and if you want to put it into safe mode, pull it out a little bit, turn it, and then let it slide into a notch here, I will try to give you a better view. Here is a notch, and if you want to put it into firing mode again, just pull it out, turn it again, and let it slide the notch at the bottom, and you're ready to fire. What I do like about this system is that you can also decock the rifle this way. Just hold the bolt here in the ring, press the trigger and move it forward slowly. The rifle is decocked, but you still have a round in the chamber. So if you are in a situation where you have to move into firing mode, just cock the rifle by pulling the ring and you're ready to fire. To unload the carbine, you have a detachable box magazine here, and it has a release button, and you just depress it, pull it out, and you have detached the box magazine. You still have a round here in the chamber, and to unload it, just sorry, the cartridge, it was ejected onto the camera. So, and empty chamber, magazine is out. To unload the magazine, just as with pretty much every magazine, slide the rounds out forward. Although the magazine could be detached, it was never intended to be loaded by changing magazines, but it was always designed to use chargers, as all Schmidt-Rubin designs at that time, up until the last one, the Carbine 31. Then you can put the magazine in again. It has a bolt stop feature, so when the last round has been fired, the bolt will lock open. You cannot close it because the follower blocks the bolt from moving forward. You have to depress the follower a little bit, and then you can move forward the bolt mechanism. I actually prefer rifles and carbines with a bolt lock open feature, because it helps in firing or in stressful situations, when it gives you an indication when you have to reload, which I would imagine is very helpful in stressful situations, so you don't have to count the rounds yourself. So I think that's a really good and useful feature. So to remove the bolt assembly, you have a lever here, which you just have to depress down. It's actually easier this way, and you can get it out. The bolt assembly looks like this. Just a few words about the bolt assembly. As you can see, it's really long compared to other rifles and carbines of that time. It's also one of the bigger points of criticism from this construction, because the locking lugs are very far at the back. They are here. The older variants of this Schmidt-Rubin construction, the earliest was, for example, if I remember correctly, the 1889 long rifle. The next one was the 1896. Then the 1896 was updated to 1896/11, and then was the long rifle 1911, and then the carbine. But the the construction of the bolt was always very similar, but the earlier variants, sorry, the locking lugs were even farther at the back. They were here, if I remember correctly. And this makes it really long, which you can also see here, because between the magazine and the trigger guard in this case, you have a lot of space, which is rather unusual. Usually the magazine and the trigger, some constructions of that time didn't have any space at all. So, as already said, this is one of the bigger points of criticism, because it also makes it more difficult to shorten the rifle or the carbine even more, because you need at least some length of the barrel, and then you have to make space for the long bolt. So it's difficult to make it even shorter. So let's move it in again. The easiest way is just put it in here, then depress the lever again and slide it in. It's stuck on the bolt lock mechanism. Then decock it, and it's in there again. Also, one of the second points which I read is quite a big point of criticism is the safety feature. Some people say it's not a good design, because if you are in firing position and want to put it into safe, you have to move your hand completely away from the carbine, make this operation, and then you are here again. And I guess it's even more problematic if you carry the rifle in safe mode and you meet some enemies, and before you can fire, you have to move away your hand completely, put it into firing position, then you can get the hand back here and ready to fire. And those are at least a few seconds which you are not able to fire, because you have to operate the safety. So in my opinion, naturally I'm not in the military, but I would actually carry the rifle with a round in the chamber and the bolt uncocked, and if I would have to fire, just cock it and you're ready. That's actually faster than put the weapon from the safe mode into firing mode. So then let's move on. We have a semi-pistol grip here. We'll turn the camera a bit. Semi-pistol grip here. The long rifle 11 was the first one to use a semi-pistol grip. All earlier variants used a straight-wristed grip. And also the 96/11 version was updated. They added this wooden part to make it a semi-pistol grip. In my opinion, I always prefer semi-pistol grips. I think I mentioned it in several other videos, because it's a way more natural way to hold the rifle. But it boils down to personal preference, I guess. This one is has a very good grip. Also, the trigger is absolutely fantastic. I also didn't mention it before, but the bolt mechanism, although it is straight pull, I can show you again, it's really smooth. It's one of the smoothest bolts I have ever seen on any rifle or carbine. It's absolutely fantastic, and it's not something you can compare to the Mannlicher bolt actions, straight pulls, because they tend to be a little sticky. But this one has no stickiness whatsoever. It's absolutely smooth. The same with loading the box magazine with the chargers. It's a really smooth operation to push them down. it's fantastic. It's almost unbelievable. So then let's move on. We have here a sling bar mounted on the side. Both sling mounts are at the side, so this means it was intended to be carried over the back, which I also prefer. I don't think it's a good way to carry rifles or carbines over the shoulder, but also most probably this is preference, personal preference. And then we have a standard metal butt plate here, nothing special. What I do want to show you is I have a bayonet for this one. It looks like this. It's the model 1918, the K11, Carbine 11, was actually fielded, as far as I understood, mostly with the bayonet 1914 and 1918, but it could also accept the earlier versions of the bayonet. But this one was the one it was intended to be fielded, and also the 1918 bayonet was also fielded with the successor of the Carbine 11, the Carbine 31. It used the same. This is what it looks like. It is in really great condition. Here is the release button, and to mount it, I will show you. To mount it, you just have to slide it onto the bayonet lock here, and that's it. So it is fixed here at the bayonet lock with the button and shoved onto the barrel. And to dismount it, you press the button here, move it forward a little bit, and it's unmounted again. So what kind of ammunition did it use? It used this one, 7.5 by 55 millimeters Swiss. It's a cartridge designed for Swiss military specifically. It was also called the GP11, which is short for Gewehr Patrone 11, rifle cartridge 11 in English, and was developed for the long rifle 11, Gewehr 11. As I read, the G11 and the Carbine 11 could also use the older cartridge in emergency situations, which was a little bit shorter. The old variant was 7.5 by 53.5, which is actually a lot weaker. This one, the 55 version, does have quite a bit of recoil. It's a really, really strong cartridge. It has a Spitze bullet. The older version, a 7.5 by 53.5, is round-nosed. And you can still buy this kind of ammunition. In this case, it was manufactured by S&B, and it is available on the market. There is also a soft point variant for hunting, for example. This one was made by PPU, which you can also buy, which makes this kind of rifle or carbines interesting for people, because they can find ammunition to shoot just from the stores. You don't have to reload yourself or anything, and this is also why they are quite sought after on the market. And as I noticed, and also as I heard from a lot of people, those Schmidt-Rubin rifles and carbines are often used for championships because they are highly accurate and fantastic to operate. So that's pretty much it concerning the features. Honestly, I think this is a very high quality carbine. As all the Schmidt-Rubin designs, they are very high quality. In my opinion, they are almost too good for a standard military rifle or carbine at that time. But luckily, the Swiss didn't have to carry them into a real battle, like for example the Germans. I'm not sure if they were in a wartime situation, if they could produce and field enough numbers of this, because the quality is so high, and I also guess the manufacturing process was rather complicated and took longer than other nations' rifles and carbines. And I guess it was also more expensive to produce. Concerning collecting, the Schmidt-Rubin series can be found on the collecting market. They are, I would say, mid-priced compared to other more rare rifles from other nations. I would say if you come across one, check out that it is matching in numbers. They can be found in matching numbers. This specimen here, for example, is a completely matching carbine. I looked for this for a very long time. I wanted to have a matching carbine in good condition, and it took me several years to find it in this condition. And completely matching, even the magazine is matching, which is not very often because, as you saw, the magazine can be detached. And I guess over the time, those were mixed from time to time. Sadly, the bayonet is not matching, but also I tried to find one in a real good condition because I knew they were available on the market. You would just have to wait and be patient to find the right one. So that's pretty much it from my end. I think we covered every major feature and a little bit about the history and also a little bit about the experience. Thank you very much for your time and for your attention, and I really hope you like my content. If you like what I do, it would be really great if you could give me a like and maybe even subscribe to my channel. I'm always uploading videos from time to time. I try to upload videos on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, and I still have some more historical stuff to cover and coming up in the next few weeks. So if you have any questions, please just post in the comments, and I will reply to any comment I receive. Thank you very much, and see you soon. Bye bye.